and we're joined by Joan Phillip, the NDP candidate in Central Okanagan-Similkameen-Nicola. Thanks for coming in, Joan. So I think of you primarily as being the wife of Stewart Phillip, the Grand Chief, but here you are a candidate. What brought you into the NDP fold?
Well, actually, it started when I was 16. I was quite political back in the day, and particularly for the last 20 years, I've been land manager for the Penticton Indian Band. And of course, my main concerns are the environment and the unfair treatment of working people within the country.
Right. Working people need a better voice.
Yes, and I think that they deserve a strong voice in Ottawa.
We were talking before this interview about the disparity between the ultra-rich and the working person getting wider over the years. You had a few numbers at the...
Yes. In 1949, individuals and corporations shared the tax burden. In
50-50.
50-50. In 1985, the gap widened to 79 and 21. And I bet you the gap's even wider.
I do believe that wealth gap has widened since then.
Yes, it has.
So, you're concerned about the environment, but you're not going for the Green Party here. What is it about the NDP? I mean, wouldn't the Green Party be the ultimate environmental party?
The New Democratic Party takes a more holistic approach in terms of wanting to narrow the gap between the wealthy and the bottom half of the country, which is not just gotten poorer, but they're in more debt. And looking at fair treatment of our elders, fair treatment of here they've worked all their lives, put their money into Canada pension plans, and it's a pittance what they get at the end. And not only is it a pittance, it only goes up. It doesn't even go up by the cost of living increases. Some of our elders are having to make decisions of whether to pay the rent or pay for their meds.
So we could do a lot better on the poverty problem.
Absolutely.
Now, you would bring to the table a lived experience in terms of being Aboriginal in this country. Do you think that we need more of that in leadership? And how do you feel about being on that side of the table? Because you've been standing there with your husband, the Grand Chief, with the people in government on the other side of the table.
Well, I'll tell you, pollution doesn't stop at the reserve boundaries, and poverty doesn't just impact Aboriginal people, it impacts all of us. And the elders I'm talking about are not always Aboriginal either. We're in this together, and we have an opportunity to put in a government that's going to work for people as opposed to the top 1% of the population.
In this part of the country, it's quite often it comes down to liberal or conservative. They call them the front runners. What do you think about the front runners?
They haven't worked. Well, 152 years of liberals and conservatives, and the wealthy have gotten wealthier and the poor have gotten poorer. And we're not just talking about the poor in terms of those that are living on the street, but everyone, the working person, the ordinary working person. I remember a time when one income can purchase a house. Now you're lucky if you can get two incomes buying a house these days. It's unaffordable.
And on the subject of climate change, it seems that the conservatives and the liberals clash over whether or not there should be a carbon tax. And, while that might be seen by some as a step in the right direction for doing something to address climate change, it's so small. I can't imagine if someone proposed something big.
Yes, it is just and again, we have to take a holistic approach to this. We're talking about having to reduce the carbon footprint, and it doesn't include purchasing a pipeline. And you have to take retrofit for the homes in order to reduce the carbon footprint. You have to reduce the carbon footprint for those that are in business, like retrofit all the buildings, retrofit the homes. So it's not just one thing that needs to get done to reduce that carbon footprint. It's a number of things, and they don't come even close to impacting
Right.
the footprint that we're making.
It seems to me that to take serious steps towards addressing climate change is going to cost something. It's not going to. Now, when I talk to the Green Party people, they seem to say that it won't really cost. We'll save money. But I think at least in the short term, it's something that we're going to have to invest in. I would think if we're going to accomplish the kinds of things you'd like to see.
So if we were to take the top, extremely wealthy, the mega wealthy, those that are worth more than $20 million, if you take 1% of that, that would generate $70 billion over the next 10 years. The other thing is there has been no investment into renewable energy. And we could create jobs in those sectors. But all the money that both the Liberals and the Conservatives have been investing in has been in dirty oil.
So, what do you do to campaign? Are you knocking on doors or?
Well, I've been going to a lot of events. I was this morning on 11:50 with a debate about all these issues. We've been doing a lot of debates, but also knocking on doors.
Yeah.
And there's some people that are just so, particularly after the Liberals lied about, what they were going to do over the past 4 years, they're very apathetic and they're just disappointed in the parties that let them down.
Right.
And so knocking on doors is huge, because we can say to them, you know what, then choose differently.
Right.
Don't choose the same old for the last 152 years. That has gotten us nowhere and in bigger trouble than.
Yeah. Well, there goes 8 minutes.
Oh, gee.
It was sure great having you
Okay.
in here, Joan. I wish you well.
Yes.
Thanks for coming in, and thank you for watching Kelowna Now.